Your daily dose of sports talk is here. Highlights, interviews, and analysis. From the entertainment capital of the world, Sports Wrap with Jason Page starts now.
Yes, it does, and great to have you with us on this Friday edition of the show. So much to do over the next 60 minutes, and glad to do it with you on over 270 affiliates around the United States and Canada. Hello to our friends watching north of the border. And if you might be watching on YouTube or listening to us on the Sports Wrap with Jason Page podcast, we appreciate you doing so. You might have noticed I looked off to my side. I was literally texting with Stan Van Gundy right before the show started today, talking about one of our stories in odds and ends. Marina Mabrey, who went off for, 53 points last night? And he happened to be on the game, and it was literally the only game he's calling this season on Prime Video. It's a crazy story. We'll get into it a little later on in odds and ends as she tied a WNBA all-time record that two other players had scored 53 points in one game. We'll tell you who those are later in the show. Also joining us, Tino, our NASCAR enthusiast, SiriusXM NASCAR radio handicapper, also on Tubi. We'll get his thoughts on this weekend's race in Sonoma. Will Shane Van Gisbergen get back on the winning track? We'll wait and see. Also be joined by Robert Littal, who's been off for a few weeks. He will come back to the show and hang out with us. There are so many stories that I want to pick his brain on, including one that kind of involves me. We'll get to that coming up a little later on. But we start things out as we always do on this Friday edition of the show. It's time for the big story. And it's presented by the Daily Wrap, the Sports Wrap with Jason Page newsletter, available on Substack. All you got to do is scan the QR code. You got your phone in your hand. Everybody does. Scan the QR code right there and go and subscribe to the Daily Wrap. It's our newsletter. It's available Monday through Friday. It comes out early each afternoon. We're covering the top story or stories of the day in that newsletter. Sound really smart when you talk to your friends about some of the big stories in sports by reading the Daily Wrap, the Substack newsletter from Sports Wrap with Jason Page. All right, we now know the wait is over. Serena Williams will take on 20-year-old Maya Joint. I don't know. In her opening round match at Wimbledon on the singles side of things. She's also teaming up with Venus in doubles. Look, I thought the best thing that could happen to her is the draw that she has, because she's going to get to ease into this thing. Now, look, who knows? Maybe Maya Joint comes out, plays the match of her life, and beats Serena Williams. We don't know what Serena we're getting. Let's just face it. We don't know what version of Serena we're getting. She's 44 years old. She hasn't played in a competitive singles match in 4 years. She's played a couple of doubles matches. Who knows? She may come out, be totally flat, and get run out of the building in her opening match, which will probably be on center court, I would think. But anyway, I mean, you're going to have Serena Williams out there playing against Maya Joint. And then her second round opponent, if she gets past Joint, potentially, is not, a big name. She wouldn't face a big name until the third round, which would be a huge step up in class. If she advances to the third round, guess who she gets? Time's up. Iga Swiatek. Last year's Wimbledon winner. The one who double bageled, I believe, Amanda Anisimova last year. Good luck with that. That might be where the fairy tale ends. I think of the line from Cinderella Man when Max Baer goes over to Cinderella Man. And he goes over to James Braddock and he goes, people die in fairy tales all the time. That might be where this story ends for Serena Williams. But who knows? Again, she gets a couple of matches to sort of work her way into form and get herself comfortable in a place where she has experienced nothing but success. And I'll tell you right now, the pressure isn't on her when she gets, if she gets, to that third round against Swiatek. It's all on Iga. She's the defending champion. She's the one that double bageled Anisimova last year. The pressure isn't on Serena if she gets to the third round. If she wins her first 2 matches, she's going to be flying high. Fans are going to be on her side. There's already a little animus towards Swiatek for different reasons. I mean, I think it's a great situation. I don't think this draw could have set up any better for Serena Williams than it has. Big story number 1. Big story number 2. It broke just before we put the show together today. Carlos Mendoza out as manager of the New York Mets. 34-47 start will do that to you. They've been getting embarrassed lately. And it's been embarrassing baseball that they've been playing. And I don't know how you... Look, you try to change something up if you're Steve Cohen. You try to change something up in terms of, maybe getting the players' attention more. Andy Green has been named the interim manager. He'll take over the team. And frankly, you could, raise, anybody from the dead that's been, the most amazing baseball manager of all time. It isn't going to matter right now with this Mets team. They're just going through it. And they got to pull themselves out of it. And it's probably not Carlos Mendoza's fault that the Mets are 34-47, but you can't, we say this all the time. I hate to be so cliche. You can't fire players. You can only fire managers. So the players are going to have to be the ones that pull themselves out of this. But their play this season has cost Carlos Mendoza his job. There's no getting around that. I might have said this yesterday on the show. The good news for the Mets is there's like 100 games or 90 games left in the season. The bad news for the Mets is there's like 90 games left in the season. This thing could still get worse. Yeah, they have the worst record in the National League East by a lot. But it could still get worse for this team. And it's going to be a long summer in Flushing if things keep going the way they are. One last thing. I can't resist. I can't resist. You see the hat behind me. It's a Yankee hat. How do you think Juan Soto's feeling about that decision to go to the New York Mets? I mean, look, it was probably a financial play, but remember when he came out and said, I think my best chance to win over the next however many years this contract is with the New York Mets? Somebody gave him some bad intel. That's the big story. We're coming back. Robert Littal is here. We're talking about the top stories of the week next. Welcome back to the show. I used to always say if it's a Friday, it means this guy's here, but he hasn't been here in a while. And that's on me. We've been kind of taking like half Fridays off lately. Robert Littal, the founder of Black Sports Online. I'm going to do something I never do. Can you move yourself to the center a little? You're a little off center.
That's what I
There you go. Yeah, that's better. That's better. Robert Littal, founder of Black Sports Online, hangs out with us. We're professionals here. Trust us. We're professionals. Author of a book that's coming out later this year as well, which we've talked with him about, and we'll definitely talk about it more as we get closer to it. I was just reminded because he was talking to me about something he was doing related to the book. I won't say what it was, just in case he doesn't want people to know. But pretty cool stuff. Robert Littal hanging out with us on the show to talk about some of the top. There's so much news going on right now that I said I got to get Robert on. I can't take a half day off. We're in it to win it today. Start with Serena Williams. The draw for Wimbledon came out today, and frankly, I think she did well. She's got I don't want to say she has a glide path to the third round, but she's got two very winnable matches to begin with for a wild card entry into this tournament. Not that it was done intentionally, because it literally is the luck of the draw, but she got a very favorable first couple of matches.
Just like the NBA draft, I don't believe in the luck of the draw. I believe that they saw Serena Williams was going to be, a wild card and was like, listen, we maybe can't get into the semifinals. I mean, that'd be great if we could, but we need to get her at least, over the weekend, so we can get people watching because, she's like the Tiger Woods of, women's tennis. Her and her sister really, kind of changed the way of a whole demographic that would watch tennis. And a lot of people that probably haven't watched Wimbledon in a very long time will be watching because of her. So the longer that she's in, the better it's going to be.
What is your realistic expectations for her, given how long it's been since she's played singles? You have to win 7 matches to win Wimbledon. And I know she's a fierce and ferocious competitor. I know that she's also dropped weight, which, we don't ever talk about women and their weight. In this context, you have to, because at the very end of her playing days, she was big. And I don't mean big in a fat way, but she's a large, big-boned, muscular woman. I think she's got a better chance to succeed at her current weight. We've seen her doing the Roe commercials. Her husband's got a stake in that company. So what is your realistic expectation for her?
First, don't you ever say big bone again. You'll get in trouble, okay? Don't you say big bone. Say muscular, don't you say big bone. But, like I said, I think if she wins one match, that's a victory. One match. I think, just from a nostalgic standpoint, I think that would be cool. Expecting her to win, 2, 3, 4 matches, like you said, would be spectacular. But she hasn't played, I don't believe, 5, 6 years competitively.
4.
At least her sister, has been out there every once in a while playing doubles and things like that. I think she may have, more success, doing doubles, but to jump right back in the singles, one match, if they can get it on center court or get it on a big court where she can kind of get that. And then she can kind of see how she feels and how she really wants to go. Because I do think if she really wanted to, and she really puts in the work, maybe by the U.S. Open, we could have a little bit, a longer expectation.
2022 U.S. Open was her last. So 4 years was her last competitive singles match. So we'll see. She gets Iga Swiatek in the 3rd round, last year's winner. And we saw what she did to, I believe, Amanda Anisimova. I think she double bageled her. So if we get to the 3rd round, that will certainly be interesting to see. But I said this before, if I'm Aryna Sabalenka, if I'm Swiatek, if I'm Coco Gauff, I don't want to see her in my side of the draw. She's going to be a fan favorite. People are going to be going nuts every time she plays a good point. I don't want to be playing against her if I'm any of those players. Boomer Esiason. I got to talk about Boomer. And he is literally Boomer in every definition of the word. His latest pet peeve was the way Caitlin Clark is being treated by the WNBA. We all saw this weird play last night. I think it was last night where she got kind of her throat held down. She hurt herself, hurt her back or whatever. She's getting banged around still in a year where the WNBA is supposed to be calling it tighter, Robert, and having it be less physical. She is still getting banged around. Now there's all this conversation. You have conservatives and Republicans out there saying she should go play in Europe. They're going to lose their cash cow. Boomers out there saying she's getting it because she's a straight white woman. What's your perspective on not just the way she's being treated, but the reaction to the way the perception of her being treated?
Well, since the last time we talked, I haven't, told you this. I've literally decided to bow out of a WNBA social discord on social media. Yeah, I just do not discuss it. I do not discuss Caitlin Clark. I do not discuss Angel Reese, Angel Wilson. I don't get into any of those debates and discussion because we've literally lost the plot. We've literally went so far left that I don't think we can come back, from it. In a situation where, someone like Boomer Esiason can say, these certain things, but it's all over the place. Everybody has these very wild, crazy, over-the-top opinions. Nothing is about basketball, anymore. I feel bad for Caitlin Clark in a sense that I know she just wants to play basketball. And I know she doesn't particularly care about the way that the basketball is being played, the physical style of it. She complains just the same way Luka complains, or the same way LeBron would complain, or the same way that SGA would complain. It's no real different than the men's basketball, except it's the WNBA and nobody knows how to cover it properly. I saw a Miss Thompson do something much worse, I thought, to Angel Reese, almost like a clothesline.
Yeah.
That really could have seriously hurt her. And, it got some discussion, but it doesn't get the same type of lens as far as the discussion. And it's like, no matter what you say, what side you on, it's like a lose-lose situation because there's going to be a subset of individuals that use these players as a conduit for basically hate engagement of an entire race. All races, basically. And it's just very difficult to have a regular conversation about basketball right now in the WNBA. And I feel bad for the players. I feel bad for the league. I feel bad for us who watched before Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. It's so toxic right now. Yeah. I don't even know, what to do about it.
Robert Littal is hanging out with us. We're going to do another segment, at least one more segment with him, because I got a whole bunch of more topics that I want to get into with him as we continue on this Friday edition of Sports Wrap. Don't go anywhere. Robert Littal is hanging out with us today on the show. I'm keeping it fluid today. Might be around for another segment. I don't know. I got a lot of topics I want to run through with him, and I don't want to rush through them. With our buddy from Black Sports Online, founder, hangs out with us on the show a lot on Fridays, usually on Fridays. So, the World Cup. I watched last night. United States loses to Turkey A. I don't know when it became Turkey A. Nobody's been able to explain when it became Turkey A, and it wasn't just Turkey. I don't know when that happened.
Apparently, Turkey was Americanized, and they don't like that because it sounds it's a turkey like Thanksgiving, and they're like that's not really our culture. So another just American thing that we made something that people didn't actually want.
Us evil Americans. So they lose to Turkey A last night. I'm calling them Turkey. I can't call it Turkey A. They lost to Turkey last night, 3-2. Late goal in extra time for Turkey is the difference. Look, they largely played the B squad. They had Christian Pulisic, who came out there and played in the second half, and the crowd went nuts. First of all, from the perspective of finally losing a game in this World Cup, do you think there is any hangover? Is there so much time in between these games, between now and the knockout stage, that this doesn't really have a lingering effect for this team?
No, I mean, it's no different than, clinching a playoff spot in any sport. You want to rest your starters. You want to make sure nobody gets hurt. You do want to try to keep a little bit of the momentum, but like you said, I think it's a little different with soccer. It's not like you're playing tomorrow. Like you said, I think once they clinched and they knew where they were going to go, there was really no reason to really kind of go, all out. And, they were tied up until, the last minute, of the game. So I don't think it's anything to be overly, concerned with.
Are we setting ourselves up here? Because it sure as hell feels like it. All right, fine, they beat Paraguay, they beat Australia. They had to kind of limp to the finish line in that Australia game where it felt like they were kind of running out of gas physically a little bit. Are we setting ourselves up for disappointment with this U.S. team? Because, all right, fine, they're going to play Bosnia-Herzegovina. They should win that game. And then you're into the round of 16. And you start to dream a little bit. Hey, you never know. I believe that we could win. Are we setting ourselves up here? Has the hype been too much? Or do you think it's been adequate given what we've seen both in the past and what we're seeing currently from the USA men's national team?
Well, what I see from the team now is they added some brothers. And they added some immigrants, which I think is very interesting considering how our country, is. If you really look at the roster, honestly look at the roster, it goes against everything that this administration is actually talking about.
Sure.
But, when it comes to sports, that's the one time that I think even people that, let's say, aren't favorable toward people that don't look like them, all of a sudden become true patriots, the Olympics, the World Cup, things like that. I don't know as far as to say, I don't think anybody expects us to win. I think, like you said, the closer you get, the more hope you get. But it's kind of like an 8 seed, kind of going through the playoffs. The bubble is going to pop, at some point. And I think the World Cup itself, the spectacle and the event of it is bigger than just the United States.
There is an irony, and it should not be lost on anybody, that in this, the very same people that, you know where I'm going, the very same people who would do anything to get a lot of immigrants out of the country or keep them out of the country. And whether I don't care where your politics are, listen to this and listen to it closely, because you know I'm right in my heart of hearts. The same people that would like to either keep those people out or get rid of the ones that are already here are the same ones screaming on social media, America's back because we're singing John Denver songs and they're all singing the national anthem in the middle of the pitch, Robert Littal. There is an irony to this that is just inescapable.
First thing I noticed. First thing I noticed, game one, I said, okay, let me get into this. Let me see who's on the team. And I started looking at how these guys are like Jason Tatum. And then the brothers scored a couple of them. I said, who's this guy? Then I went and looked at his, backstory, how he was born over here really just because, of work and all. I said, okay, he's really from England and all of this. I said, all right, I see. We want to win. So now when you want the best way that America wins in pretty much any sports is when we're diverse, because we have such a diverse population of different type of people. We're not, structured to just have one type of people, which in sports helps you because you get a lot of different type of athletes in there. But it's funny because it goes all the way. It goes back to Joe Louis. It goes back to Jesse Owens. When we're playing in these sports, it's great. We're all American. And then when the sports are over, it's, go race a horse. You can't eat with us. Get out of the country. So, I wanted to point that out, just for some of those people that are cheering right now to maybe look themselves in the mirror. I know they won't, but maybe one will and say, hey, man, maybe it's not too bad to have a little diversity in this country.
What's hilarious, too, is the John Denver song. It makes me laugh that they're all touting John Denver, who was the biggest conservationist around. I mean, John Denver was like uber liberal, and it's just it's like the YMCA thing. It's like the YMCA thing. It can't be lost on anybody. I need to get your opinion on something. I might hold you. I'm going to have to hold you over because I only have a minute and a half left to talk about this. For people who haven't been following, I've had a bit of an online tussle with Aubrey Huff, the former longtime major league, played over a decade in the major leagues, won a couple of World Series with the Giants. Basically stole a bunch of money from Baltimore because he wasn't very good there. He had like a minus 1.7 WAR during his time there. But I mean, look, the guy had a representative Major League Baseball career. And when I point that out online, the people that hate him are like, "No, he wasn't even that good." Let's be honest. He was a decent Major League Baseball player. He hung around for a while. We've been going at it because he's basically a hateful, homophobic bigot. And some of the words that he uses to describe gay people are frankly disgusting. And I usually stay out of these things, and I need to know if I'm making the right decision by engaging in some of these culture war conversations that are intersecting with sports. Boomer Esiason, the whole thing with Caitlin Clark and talking about whether or not, the straight white woman comment that he made. Aubrey Huff and what he said about the San Francisco Giants, the gay pride night and everything that sort of transpired from there. So I want to get Robert Littal's opinion on this as somebody who covers the media. And we often talk about Stephen A. Smith, and I feel like I've kind of fallen into that trap. We'll get to that next. It's a Friday on Sports Wrap. Robert Littal back in his customary spot this week. Love hanging out with him and getting his thoughts on some of the big stories of the week. It's been a week in like 2 days. There's been so much news here in the past couple of days. So I set it up in the last segment, this whole thing with me and Aubrey Huff. And there is a part of me that even regrets engaging with this knuckle-dragging Neanderthal. And I should have just let him stay in the cave where he belonged because I give oxygen to him when I bring this stuff up. And I don't believe in doing things for clicks and views. If they come, they come, but I don't believe in doing that. and it could appear that way to people if you look at my X feed. So I want to get your opinion on this back and forth I've had with him. And don't hold back. If you think I'm an idiot for engaging with him, tell me you think I'm an idiot for engaging with him. I am curious to kind of know where you stand as it relates to getting involved in that sort of thing.
I think first off, I think as we get older on social media, we have to realize that there are individuals that aren't happy with who they are. Okay. I feel like there's two types of individuals that you're dealing with here. Like you're either dealing with the individual that is miserable and has to use social media to garner attention because they're not getting attention, anywhere else in life. You can say that's maybe a troll or someone that's not as high profile or something of that nature. I say, but then you have what I like to call the actor. And what I mean by the actor is they have used Trump and this administration to enrich themselves because they're able to say these horrible things, to say these crazy things, to say these over-the-top things, and actually profit from it. I take that like what happened at the White House, for example, and what we were talking about what happened with Ariel Helwani, right? If I went at the White House and called everybody the N-word and just went off, I probably would get, canceled, right? But in this particular administration, you can say something as horrific as the First Lady of the United States is a man, and then get, a press tour, off of it. So you have to be careful because sometimes by engaging with them, you're giving them exactly, what they want. And then they can go and say, oh, I went off on this. And it just gives them, like you said, more, oxygen. The problem is it's so difficult to just sit there and watch someone be disrespectful. I have to see it every day. People disrespectful to their race, calling black people monkeys, and I see it in almost everything it is sports related. That's really crazy. It doesn't matter. It could be this. It could be something as simple as, let's say, LeBron is thinking about where he's going with free agency. And under the comments, it could be, well, his monkey this, his wife looks like this. It's ridiculous. And you want to answer every single one because it makes you angry. But you have to realize that that's what they're trying to do. And you really have to take kind of a step back and realize, is there better things I can do with my day? And maybe use my platform to not address them directly. Don't give them the oxygen. Make your point, though. This individual is doing this because of X. Or this is why use your platform to make it positive on your end as opposed to going back and forth, because that's what people want. They want people to be arguing together because they get entertainment out of it.
Yeah.
And all you get is a headache at the end of the day.
Yeah, and now I feel like I'm getting wrapped up in all of these sorts. Like the boomer thing comes up and I can't help but say something about that. And now before I know it, half of my feed and what I'm talking about isn't sports, which is what I'd rather be talking about. Instead, it's people in and around sports that are saying stupid stuff that I feel the need to comment on. And
it's the whole this whole thing I just told you about the WNBA. It had got to the point where if I said anything, it would start a discourse that would end up frustrating me. And my wife actually told, she said, I see you look angry, you look upset, and you look frustrated, and you're worried about what people are saying, and your kids want to play with you right now, and you're tweeting away on your phone and everything. And
I know
is it worth it?
Is
it worth it? Like, is it worth it? Is basketball worth it? And I'm like, something, you're right.
My husband says the same thing. Him and your wife are they're simpatico on this because he says the same thing to me when it comes to this sort of stuff. Like, why are you so riled up? Don't feed it. That sort of thing. And he could see my demeanor change.
Of course.
When we get into these things. Yeah,
at the end of the day, so it's hard to say, well, don't do that. I mean, you these people are talking about you, essentially. So it's I would never judge you for standing up for yourself. I would just say, peace, kumbaya.
I got a minute left. Giannis goes to Miami. I don't think it makes them a title contender. They still have more to do to get to that point. I think it might put him on the fringe of the top 4 in the East. What did you think when you saw Giannis dealt from Milwaukee to Miami?
Old and injury prone. Trades of superstars. I'm just saying, trades of superstars after 30 that are coming off injuries to make super teams have not worked, very well. If you get them in their prime, 25, 26, like your Kevin Durant's to the Warriors, your LeBron's to Miami, that's different. When you start getting the Kevin Garnett's to the Nets, the KD's to the Rockets, the older they are, it just doesn't seem to work. Now, maybe all of a sudden, Miami, that weather makes him healthy. But right now, I think they need to make some more moves to be a title contender, like you said.
Yeah, I agree with that. And it'll be interesting to see what happens with Jaylen Brown. That's going to be another story to follow throughout this offseason as well. Robert Littal is the founder of Black Sports Online. Check him out there. As good as he is here, he's even better there. I appreciate you, my friend. Thanks for hanging out with us.
All right, have a good one. Kumbaya. Peace. Inner peace.
I'm going to try. Welcome back to the show. Odds and Ends wraps it up 10 minutes from now. Fridays on Sports Wrap, well, they're about this guy. The one and only Tino Pattigno. Tino Pattigno is here. Sirius XM NASCAR radio handicapper. Does a great job. Tubi as well. You sure as hell, you go raise your hand. You didn't have Corey Heim winning this friggin' race in San Diego. Were there even odds available on Corey Heim to win that race?
There were. Now, I'll put my hand up and say it. My bad. 100 to 1. 100
He was 100 to
1.
1?
Yeah. And I saw some community tickets, people within the NASCAR betting universe and whatnot that had 90 to 1, like mid-race. So kudos to them. Happy for them. Happy to get, people to get a big winner like that. But it's always like, I just don't know what to explain with that. I mean,
is it Heim? Well, let me ask you. Is it Heim time?
Oh, it's Heim time. It's definitely Heim time for sure. He's here. I'll give you this stat, which I think is awesome. Since 1982, only 11 drivers have won a NASCAR Cup Series race in their first 15 starts. Corey Heim, that was his 13th start. Who's next to him? Jimmy Johnson, also won in his 13th start. The list is pretty good. Brad Keselowski's on there, Kevin Harvick, SVG obviously first start, but Dale Jr. too. Like some big names on that list that prove, hey, this could be something to come next year when he's racing full time.
I don't mean to spring this on you because you won't know the answer to it. How far into his career did Joey Logano win his first race?
Oh, I actually do know. I don't know the specific answer, but I do know it was a few years, like 4 to 5 years. Oh, it was that long?
Wow.
And it took him a while to hit his stride. So I could definitely say, I know he may have won once or twice with JGR. If not, then 0 times. But once he went to Penske, then that's when the ball really started to roll. And he didn't get to Penske and the 22 car until I think it was his 4th or 5th year in the series.
So Heim wins a race. He's probably not even going to be in the playoffs, though, because he's not racing enough this year, is he?
Correct. Yeah, still a part-time guy. No, the win doesn't count for anything from that standpoint.
So how does it work in terms of points? Do points get shifted?
The points are still the points in terms of like he won. He gets all those points.
Oh, he does. Okay.
But since he's only raced in half the races this year, and he still will have a part-time schedule.
Bubba Wallace. I mean, what can we say? One of his best races, certainly his best race of this season. One of the best he's ever done on a road course. Is there something to take away from that as we move into Sonoma this week?
100%. This is like I feel proud watching Bubba do what he did that race, losing the tire. And before he lost the tire, he was contending with SVG, racing inside the top 3 to 5 on his own merit, like really clean at a road course. And then the adversity happens and you're like, oh, of course, this has been his whole season. But to stay in it, yeah, there was some wrecks. Yeah, there was some strategy. Don't matter because everyone else was a beneficiary of that. SVG getting taken out, which we'll talk about a little bit. But what's important to take away is Bubba was 15th around there, around the cut line. And I remember we talked last week, and it was like, all right, he just needs to put a few good races together. He'll be back up there where he kind of belongs. And now he's up to 11th. So that's a huge jump for him. Feel comfortable, hopefully going to Sonoma. You're looking for a top 10 of 15 day. If you can get that, you'll continue to rise.
SVG, Shane Van Gisbergen, out for blood this week coming off of what happened in San Diego?
He needs to be. He's going to have to be. He's 17th right now in the point standings. This is why this new format of the chase is fun, because if he wins this week, and you're going to assume goes for a perfect day and has it, last year he was able to flip the stages and still win them and win the race overall, get max points. I assume he's going to do that at Sonoma. You know, obviously it was a tough break. Him, Connor Zilic, Ty Gibbs, Austin Hill all get into each other, which is funny because those were essentially all my picks to win the race. And they're all racing up front when it happened, so at least I'll be, happy about that. But if he doesn't win this weekend, you can kiss the chase goodbye. Wow. It's over for him. Like, this is what he needs to do. And even if he does win, Jason, I mean, you can look at him right now, 17th, maybe boosted up to 13th, but who's around there? William Byron, Christopher Bell, who's going to be coming back in a couple weeks, Eric Jones, Austin Cindric. Like, those are guys that can win and can accumulate more points in SVG, so it's going to be tough. Really, I think they were banking on winning last week and this week.
Move away from SVG for just a moment and look at the odds for this race. With SVG at minus 150, which is just terrible value yet again. I don't know how you bet him. Connor Zilic, and last week's the perfect reason why I would never want to bet him as minus one at that dollar amount, because weird stuff happens in NASCAR races all the time. Connor Zilic at 7-1, Tyler Reddick at 8-1, Kyle Larson. Where are you, Kyle Larson? We want to see you in the winner's circle there. Kyle Larson at 12-1, Ryan Blaney at 12-1, Ty Gibbs at 16-1. Where are you going this week in the final minute here?
All right, so like you said, hard to put a number down on SVG. I'd look at Tyler Reddick, Kyle Larson, Ryan Blaney, all within that standpoint that you talked about. For Larson, this is his home track, California guy. Anytime that we sort of have overlooked him here in the past, he's shown up and gotten a win. But we still can't really bank on their speed. He did show a lot in San Diego, which I was pleased to see. But Tyler Reddick would be obviously the next obvious choice, because right there in the final stages of San Diego, who's leading the 45 car? Looked like he had it done, which I'll also mention. He pulls over, he hits it to Corey Heim, pulls over, lets him get the spot back, and I think that was a really good test of sportsmanship and just like what you can do as a race car driver. You don't have to just hit people out of the way and apologize later. You don't see that very often anymore. Underdog play would be Ryan Blaney this weekend. I'm seeing him as high as 16-1. Won the pole here recently, is very strong on road courses now. And I think although the Fords don't have them in much speed at a road course, if SVG gets knocked out again, the guy up front.
Tino Pattigno, catch him, SiriusXM NASCAR Radio, also on Tubi over the weekend. Always appreciate you, my friend. Have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy the racing. We'll talk down the line. Just about time to put the wraps on this baby for another week. Before we do, some reminders. The Sports Wrap with Jason Page Weekend Edition is available on many of these same affiliates. Sports Wrap Weekends, 30 minutes. It's fantastic. All the best of what we talked about during the week, and sometimes just a little bit extra. Sports Wrap Weekends. If it's not on this affiliate, check your local listing for time and schedule. It could be on a different station within your market. Also go to sportswrap.tv to find your affiliate as well. The Sports Wrap with Jason Page podcast. The audio version of this show available Monday through Friday, wherever you get your podcasts. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Odyssey, Amazon, you name it. Anywhere you get a podcast, you can listen to this show. Crystal clear audio, Monday through Friday, available each afternoon. Also, the Sports Wrap with Jason Page YouTube channel is the place to find all things Sports Wrap with Jason Page. The Monday through Friday TV version of the show is available there. It is fantastic. 45 minutes, commercial-free. Again, available early each afternoon. Also at the Sports Wrap with Jason Page YouTube channel, you can find extended conversations, Sports Wrap Originals, Sports Wrap Shorts. These are 1 to 3 minute long vertical videos meant for people on the go. News breaks, we jump in on there a lot of times. Big game happens, we'll jump in on there. If I've just got something to say, I just can't wait until we get back on the air. I'm there. Sports Wrap shorts available on our YouTube channel. They're also available on our TikTok, Sports Wrap Jason Page, and on Instagram by the same name, Sports Wrap Jason Page. Also, we have added the Sports Wrap website, Sports Wrap with Jason Page website. We worked hard on this, so we'd appreciate it if you go and give it a visit. sportswrap.tv, right there above my head, sportswrap.tv. It's got the TV version of the show. It's got the podcast. It's got the Sports Wrap shorts. It's got a merch store. Well, eventually we're going to actually be selling merchandise in there. Get your Sports Wrap gear. It's going to be fantastic. We'll be giving away some of that on the air as well. sportswrap.tv. Find your affiliate. Sign up for the Substack newsletter, all at sportswrap.tv. All right, without any further delay on this Friday edition of the show, it's time for some odds and ends. Odds and ends. Marina Mabrey with a game for the ages last night. She was 19 of 28 shooting. She was 9 of 18 from 3. She scored 53 points in a Toronto tempo drubbing of the LA Sparks. Big win for Toronto, the expansion team. She broke her previous career high of 39, which she also had earlier this month against the Connecticut Sun, soon to be a franchise in Houston. So congratulations to Marina Mabrey. The 9 threes, by the way, tied an all-time record in the WNBA for a single game. The 53 points makes her one of 3 players to do that, which is the highest scoring mark in a single game in WNBA history. 53 points. It ties Liz Cambridge, I guess her name was. And I didn't know this, so I apologize. Played for Dallas. Did it in 2018. She had 53. And Asia Wilson had 53 for the Las Vegas Aces back in 2023. Now, if you told me Asia Wilson had 53 in a game, I'd go, okay. I didn't know Marina Mabrey was such a scorer, but apparently she is. And I was joking earlier in the show, our friend Stan Van Gundy was lucky enough to be on the call for this game last night, so kudos to him. He did one game in the WNBA this year, and it happens to be a record breaker with Marina Mabrey scoring 53 for Sandy Brondello's club. Can I say this about Sandy Brondello, the head coach of Toronto? They don't have scoreboards, and I don't mean scoreboards. They don't have the player stats available inside the arena. So Marina Mabrey didn't know that she was closing in on a record, and she was ready to come out of the game. It was a blowout game, and Sandy Brondello sent her back out. She said, "No, you're going to get this record." And so many times in sports these days, guy is a no-hitter. It's the 7th inning. Oh, he's at 100 pitches. This magical number. We can't leave him in the game. We see this all the time in sports. Kudos to Sandy Brondello for putting Mabrey back out there to try and tie the record or break the record. I thought that was really cool. So hats off to Sandy Brondello on that. Odds and ends. Bryce Harper. Doing Bryce Harper things. Dude, he's got like 18 homers and 47 RBIs. He took a 5-5 tie last night against the Nationals and turned it into a 7-5 Phillies lead. They'd score 5 in the 9th. They beat the Nationals by a final score of 10-5. I think they're like 46-37 are the Phillies, if I'm not mistaken. What a run this team has gone on since Don Mattingly took over as the manager of the club. And Bryce Harper's hitting like 269, having himself a pretty nice year. A lot of people thought he was washed. Apparently, fans in the right field bleachers thought he was washed. They were giving him crap throughout the night. So if you notice on this highlight, wait for it, he's rounding the bases. Yeah, that's him flipping the bird to the fans in the right field seats that were giving him crap all night. Bryce Harper just doing Bryce Harper things. Man, I hope baseball doesn't wind up with a work stoppage because it's in a good place right now. And it feels like we're headed towards a work stoppage. God, I hope I'm wrong, but everything I'm reading right now feels like we may not have baseball in 2027, or at least for a big chunk of 2027. It's going to do it for us on this Friday edition of the show. A lot of people to thank. Tino, excellent job as always on NASCAR. Robert Littal, the founder of Black Sports Online, for hanging out with us. Sam Yarnell all week long all of our great guests, you at home for watching. I'm Jason Page. That does it for Sports Wrap on this Friday. We'll catch you back here next week. Bye-bye.